Welcome to the Full Vantage podcast. My name's Trevor. This is my new good friend, Mike. I would say that I want him to be one of my best friends. We're not there yet, I know, but we're close. We're on our way.
We're on the path.
We're on the path. And first off, I love everything you do. I love how you help people. I was explaining this to somebody the other day. You lift people. Physically, mentally, socially, spiritually. Like you're always lifting people up, just encouraging people. And then you also physically lift them up. And I imagine in every picture we're going to be in the future, there's going to be a normal set and then a set where you're picking me up.
Right. I was already thinking about which lift we're going to do today.
Yes, exactly. So everyone needs to know who Mike is and what you're doing because you're making everything you do not about you. You literally make it about the people around you. At least that's what I see. Mm-hmm. And so I want to talk about the shirt that I'm wearing, the offense. I love the name.
Thank you.
I mean, let's play offense.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it.
I mean, shout out to all the defenders out there, the defensive people. You need teams where you play defense as well. But I'd love to talk about that concept. I got so many things I want to talk about with you. So let's dive in. And before we dive in, let me say this. I knew that I wanted to connect with you just as a friend. And because I had another friend say, you need to meet Mike. And here's why that's valuable to me is because I think when we're in meaningful relationships, when our friends that we actually care about say something to us that's genuine for us, it's like, hey, you need to listen.
Yeah.
So what's cool is I had another friend say, hey, listen up. And then your name came after that. And so, I mean, it's an honor just to begin to get to know you. We've ran a race together. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to run more races with you because you're always racing.
Let's do it.
And yeah, man. So all amazing things. Let's dive in, cool. And let's encourage people and let's lift people. Have you used that tagline yet? I lift people.
I haven't. No, lift people. I like the one. I think it was like a meme. Like. Some people lift weights. I lift spirits. That's what I try to think about, getting stronger to, encourage other people. I mean, you obviously do the same. That's why we're here right now. So I really appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Man, this is so sick. So yeah, lift people up. Okay, you're a fitness coach, trainer. You also a performance. You've scaled that to performance,
yeah.
And you run this offense. Do you care to explain what the offense is,
yeah.
And like kind of what you're doing right now? And then I'd love to talk about like kind of where this all began. Like where does that come from?
Cool.
So yeah.
So the offense is my mindset performance coaching business, and the offense is living life of action, right? It says on the back of the shirt, a life of action. A lot of folks that I gravitate towards and like to encourage or support are ones who maybe identify as a more defensive player, kind of sitting in the back seat of their life, nervous to achieve or to go for the big audacious goals that they have. And I like the tagline, you can't win if you don't score. And, defense is important. Of course, we need to check our boxes and, cross our T's and dot our I's. But at the end of the day, we also need to take action towards the things that we want in life. And so that's what living offensively means to me.
No, okay, so also, if you just play defense and the other team just plays defense, that's a tie.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's endless sports analogies, and that's my background. So they make a lot of sense to me, and I work with a lot of former athletes, and you can kind of organize some of these thoughts, like some of these mindset thoughts around sports, which makes sense. And especially as guys, we want to win, we want to score, we want to be, on offense. And so my challenge in the coaching is kind of making mental, emotional health cool. And so that's why I really was pumped to come up with a name, The Offense, and create that brand and really rebrand the coaching that I've been doing for over a decade.
Okay, yes, that I think everyone needs to hear that. You've been doing this for over a decade. I think it takes that long.
Yeah, it takes a while to get the offense down, for sure.
I think it takes, it takes a while to even just get to the point of where, hey, I have something to say. Mm-hmm. I have something to really, It's like this. It's like it takes maybe not a decade, but it takes years. It takes time, a consistent time to get to a point of like, I know how I want to do this. 'Cause I think early, it's really important to kind of maybe not reinvent the wheel always. You know, maybe copy what works and what has worked and what you see other people doing. But what I see you now is your own iteration. Like,
Yeah.
is that fair?
Definitely. I mean, I've learned from tons of different coaches in the past.
Sure, that's
tons
not-
of
yeah.
everything. And kind of the way I organize it is I've studied all of these various modalities. And then when I work with someone, I can kind of drag and drop in the exercises, the tools, the frameworks, whatever it is that's going to kind of give them the most bang for their buck, right? We're all busy. And so we have a certain amount of time each day to focus on ourselves. And if we can spend that time aligned with the thing that's going to bring us closer to the version of ourselves we want, the better. Versus, online or, out in the world today, there's so many different suggestions on things that you could be or should be doing, and it can become overwhelming. Most of us already feel overwhelmed because of external expectations. And so a big part of offense is creating your plays, understanding what are my plays that are going to help me win the game? What's my personnel? How can I kind of incorporate that so I can, score a basket or a touchdown or a goal, whatever it is, whatever sport you want to go with.
Yeah, whatever sort of analogy. Okay, so here's what I hear you saying. Here's what I just even in this moment is you don't view people as projects. You view them as people.
Yeah.
And so you make everything personal.
You got. I mean, that's the art of coaching, which I imagine it, like similar in the work that you do. It's getting across the message that you want to that specific person. And that's going to be different for everyone based on so many factors, like where they grew up, how they slept, what their languages are. Like, it's so detail oriented. And I love that. Personally, I love that challenge of saying, okay, this is the maybe life struggles this individual's had. This is where they are currently. This is where they believe their limitations are. What story, what framework, what exercise can I give them that gets a light bulb to go off? And then they're like, oh, wait, I can have a growth mindset. I can be on offense. Like, I'm going to go take some action. And then that action continues to grow for them where they deposit into their self-love bank account. And then later on when they want to go, do something that feels big and scary to them, they can kind of like withdraw all of those deposits they've put in.
Oh, gosh, yes, because I don't know who said this. Definitely wasn't me. But it's a body of work is what gives me the confidence to realize I am not a what is the concept when you kind of have anxiety about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. The body of work is what gives me the confidence of I'm not an imposter. Like, no. Look at where I've been.
Yeah.
This is the next step of me becoming who I want to become.
Yeah.
And as you look at your trajectory, where did this begin?
With sports. I mean, even with that, like, if you've ever played a team sport and you've gotten to the end of the season and maybe you're in a championship game or a bowl game or something, you're all nervous because it's the biggest game you've been working all season for, and your coach probably says, remember, any sports movie, remember the blood, sweat, and tears, the off seasons, the two-a-days, all of those practices. You put in all that work. You deserve to be here. Go out and enjoy it. And that's the same thing what you said. I think that can't get understated enough. I work with a lot of people who might struggle with self-worth or confidence, and you have to earn that. You don't just get that. You have to take action. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small. And then the more you let that land for you, the stronger your confidence is. So to answer your question, it started, with sports. I've always loved being on a team, being with teammates, pushing myself, learning, growing, achieving in different ways. And then I took that into strength and conditioning. That was my first career. I got pretty lucky. The New York Jets came to my college for training camp in the summertime, and their strength coach reached out to my college football strength coach and was like, hey, do you have any athletes that are looking to be an intern? And I was like, me, I never had been more motivated than anything in my life. I was there at 5 a.m. We had to build out this whole gym in the ice arena, 12 full racks, everything. I was really learned so much from them. They never had an intern before. And so first thing he told me was, you're not an intern, you're a coach. I'm going to have you coach these players. Like, you're going to do intern stuff too, but we really want you to be an active member of this community. And so I did that for 2 years, which was awesome. Then went out to California, was training a lot of guys for NFL Combine, which is kind of like the tryout for NFL, where you do like 40-yard dash, vertical jump, those type of things. And so I was fortunate that at a young age, I was able to work with like the best in the game and the best in the game coaches. So I could see like the work ethic, the meticulous, detail that they put into their athletes. Not only like the training programs, but as well the like the mindset work.
What does it take? Excuse me. I said that weird. What does it take? I think that's so interesting because you learned what it took at a young age. In your mind, or just in your experience, it doesn't have to be your mind, just even your experience, I guess, which is in your mind. But what does it take for someone to excel in ways that you didn't realize or that people don't realize? Because the intensity and the seriousness and what it takes to be successful is maybe not astronomically, that may be an intense word, but it's way more than I think a lot of us, myself included, I think just in general that we think sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a ton of work, but it doesn't feel like a lot of work when you're doing the right thing. Okay. And that's the key. Like, if you're grinding through something that you don't really care about, it's not like truly on purpose for you, then it will feel like an astronomical amount of work. If you take the time to kind of back up, see what are and there's just different ways to go about this, but like to figure out like, what do I love doing? Do I love talking to people on a podcast? Do I love setting this up? Do I love the environment? Do I love working with my friends? Do I love like all of this? Or maybe I'm going to start a podcast. Cool. Like, all of those things equal that. And now, it's work. Like, you're getting in here, you're setting the lights, you're doing all this stuff, but it doesn't probably feel like work. It feels like fun. And it's to someone else, it might seem like an astronomical amount of work. And so, it takes a lot of work, but if you think of athletes too, most guys that are trying to get into the NFL, this is like their dream. They will do everything possible to do that. And allowing yourself to dream, I think, is like a lost skill.
Oh, hold on. That's a total lost skill. I mean, I love things that say, hey, like, keep a childlike mindset.
Oh, yeah.
I love things that, because of the openness that brings, because of the genuineness and purity that brings, because of the simplicity that brings, because of the different ways we can even see how something could be possible. Like, childlikeness, I think, can go so far for us. But I think, why do adults or why do mature people not value dreaming from your point of view?
Yeah, I think they don't value like dreaming or play because they can fail. And if they're already feeling fragile, maybe mentally or emotionally, with what they can achieve, then they don't want to put themselves in a situation where they can lose. Like, I mean, think of kids. You have kids, and they play all the time, and they're going to lose games of tag, and they're going to lose different things, and they have to work through that. But they understand, because they're playing so much, that happens. And as adults, we can. I mean, I really try to play as much as possible. I think you do too. Like, the more that you lose, the more that you learn. It's kind of cliche, but for a reason. And then the more you can come back and do something else. Like, we just ran this race together, this 50K, right? I don't think you ever ran a 50K. Or you did one other time.
I've only done one.
But not out here and on the West Coast. And so, you're nervous, but you're putting yourself out on the line. Your whole family's there. You're waking up early. Everyone's driving out to support you. Like, there's some pressure there. You're also playing, but within play, there has to be rules. There has to be boundaries. That lets you know when you're stepping out of bounds, and that you can come back in, which is it's a tricky thing kind of for people to orient around.
Talk to me about competitiveness, because this is a great moment, because this race was good, and races in general, for me, what I've found is it's really important for me to compete. And I think I have some reasons why that's true, but I'm really trying to understand that more. Maybe it's just me, and that's something that's really important to me. But healthy competition has been so valuable over the past, I think it's been like 4 years.
Okay.
And repositioning competition in my adult life.
Yeah.
Because I took a break from competition because, you become an adult, you have adult things, responsibilities, whatever, work gets involved. You play less, kind of like what we were talking about. But then what happened to me was, I probably took like a 5-year break from like consistent competition in the form of play.
Right.
Or because racing is just play. Like it's not, there's no responsibility there.
Sure.
I'm not a pro. I'm just, I'm just signing up.
But
to
in
do
your mind, it's serious.
Yes, exactly. It is serious. And keeping the play mindset in there keeps it, I think, valuable for me. It's like, let's see what could happen. Why is competition, in your point of view, how has that played a role maybe in your life? Or those are kind of two questions. So how has it played maybe a role in your life? What's your association to competition? And then what's your viewpoint and value when it comes to competition, healthy-wise?
Yeah, I mean, you really care. You're a very intentional person. I feel like I'm similar. And so when I'm play, it's not just like, whatever, everyone wins. Like I want to have rules and structure in that because it lets me play harder. And I like to really go for things. I'm just an intense individual. And everyone is different to a certain degree. So I can kind of just speak to myself in this way. And I think to you a little bit, but we need to have rules to the game. And so a race, there's obviously rules. You start at the same time. You got to follow this path. That's kind of it for a race. But with life, there's many different ways to go about it. And an analogy I often use is for boundaries, and play would fit into this. Like if you and I never played or heard of the game basketball before, ever, and we take 8 of our friends who had never heard of it either, and we go to a court, and there's no hoops and there's no lines. It's just like a concrete floor, and I just roll out a basketball and say play. We're just gonna maybe kick it around at each other, maybe throw it at each other. There's not gonna be a lot of structure, and so within that, anything is kind of possible, and that can feel exciting. But now if I come in and I put lines in the court, I separate people into teams, I put up goals, I put in a ton of rules, I put people to enforce those rules. You get penalized if you don't do those rules. I've put in so much structure into that play, but then within that, what's allowed and what's not allowed. And it's the same thing with our lives. What is not allowed and what's allowed, once you have that clarity, then you can play within those rules, and you can actually know when you're growing and when you're not growing. And so for sports, that's just built in, which is great. And that's, I think, what I've subconsciously loved about them and love about all of these challenges that I come up with, and still do weird things that make no sense, like lifting a lot of weight over my head with one arm and
or having a 300+ pound person over on your shoulders.
Right. No reason to do that. No, but for me, there is, cause I'm getting to connect, getting to connect with them, getting to figure out the challenge. Where do they put their feet on my neck? How can we communicate? How can I make them feel safe? Where can I put the base of support? All of that is a fun way to connect with another person, which is a value of mine, and way to just have fun.
Dude, and okay, if someone wants to go, I'll share this video, but if someone wants to go watch it, just watch how Mike coaches. How this guy, he was 300 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Around 300 pounds.
Yeah, more.
I thought it was 345, whatever. Yeah. I can't remember. I watched the video of where you get him to stand on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And put his hands above his head. Okay. Yes, that actually happened. There's video proof. It's great. There's something you did in the whole thing that I'm that's so impressive. And it's a nuance that most people wouldn't see. It's how technical you are. Mm-hmm. You're going to connect with them. You're going to celebrate at the end of it when it happens.
Right.
But in the middle of it happening, there's a risk.
Sure.
There's a risk, and someone's well-being is literally on your shoulders.
Right.
Okay, and your well-being is on your shoulders, and so it's hey, let's focus. And you are very, very technical. Mm-hmm. Put your heels, push them onto the back of my head.
Right.
Bring them as close as you can to my neck.
Yeah.
And it was what? And if you were just casually doing that, you wouldn't be doing it. It wouldn't happen.
Sure.
But the fact that you focus technical and you're trying to accomplish something together, then you have something to celebrate, and you can enjoy, like, oh, that was amazing. I love this. We've never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
We've never been here, and we just got there together.
Yeah.
And what's cool is growth. I've heard this. I heard this statement. I don't know when, but I loved it. It's kind of carried with me. It's one of those things. Growth is something I'm really after, like personally, and then just publicly. I want to grow in relationships with people, and I want to grow. I think if we stop growing, we start going. Like we just fade away. So like growth is a huge part of the human experience in living life to the fullest and coloring in this amazing life that we get to live. And a part of that is innovation, because it's reimagining what like how to accomplish, or reimagining what a way to accomplish type thing.
Right.
So I heard this quote and I love it. Innovation happens inside the box. And so if we want to innovate, we need structure.
Sure.
What do we want to innovate? How do we want to innovate? Why do we need to innovate? And what are the rules and the guidelines and the boundaries of innovation?
Right.
Because we have to have something to
innovate
with. Yeah,
right.
And so, man,
Yeah.
I just absolutely love that so much, because I see you, obviously, year 10, reinventing, innovating.
Yeah.
Let's bring it together. Start something fresh and new.
Yeah.
Built off of this body of work. You worked for the Jets. Okay, 2 years, amazing. You said at the beginning of that kind of like experience, you were motivated to show up really early. Can you speak to that? And I think a lot of people are lacking motivation, and they're desperate for it.
Yeah. I mean, for me at that time, I was in college. So I loved sports. I loved NFL teams. I knew that was kind of the direction I wanted to go with my life. I was studying kinesiology and exercise science. So when that opportunity came in, I was like, this is my dream. Like, very fortunate, and could just go for that. It was not as difficult. I think with motivation, it's finding there's a couple ways I go about it. It's like purpose and passion, kind of linking those two together. And to find, passion, it's what are the things I really enjoy doing. So an exercise I'll do with folks is have them write out 30 things that they've ever been passionate about before, ever in their life. And it takes a lot of time, because they got to think about it.
I was about to say, that's a task.
It's like a 2-hour task, probably. Yeah. And you got to get detailed in those things. Like, instead of saying I've been passionate about sports, it's like I'm passionate about offensive lineman blocking for quarterback on pass plays. Like details. Like, instead of I'm passionate about food, I'm passionate about Thai food, and specifically noodle dishes from this region of Thailand. Like really thinking maybe Beanie Babies was something you're passionate about, like Vans or sneakers or T-shirts or oversized
Pokemon
fits,
cards.
like Pokemon cards, whatever it is.
Yeah, it doesn't
but diving in, and then once you have those 30 things, you can see like where are kind of these similarities, right? So going into your innovation, you're almost like innovating yourself by literally doing the work, breaking it down and seeing, well, okay, I like, connecting with people through sports here. I like being a part of a kitchen. Like maybe I'm working at a restaurant. I really like working with people, being around a lot of people. And you can put those two things together and then link that with a purpose, something you really care about. So then people write down like 15 problems that they see in the world. And you'll start to figure out an equation. And then that equation will equal something that then will give you more motivation to go do it, because you've put in the work to figure out what that is, rather than like, I don't know, trying to seek it externally. It all got to find it internally, which goes into your growth mindset. That is the first thing that I do with performance coaching, because my coaching is for people who feel like they're 60 to 80% at their maximum potential. They're like, nothing's terrible, nothing's amazing, kind of things are just like, okay. And so we do a lot of positive psychology, which is the art of human flourishing, to kind of go from that towards their 100%. But before you can even do that, you have to believe that growth is possible. And I don't know if you ever heard of like Carol Dweck or the book Mindset, but it's like fixed and growth mindsets. And so moving from a fixed mindset, which is I'm Mike, this is where I'm from, this is the way things are, I'm always going to be, I don't know, like in this financial bracket or in this type of situation. That's just the way my family was raised, and I can't kind of control it, versus I can grow if I put in the work, if I, learn, I can achieve and grow and innovate in my life. And so there'll be different areas of your life where it's easier to have a growth mindset and ones where it's easier to have a fixed mindset. But then again, you break that down and do something like a mindset log where you maybe carry around a journal with you for a week. And every time that fixed mindset comes in of like, I can't do this thing, or this is the way it is, writing it down and manually changing it to a growth mindset. And it doesn't take that long, but takes like concerted effort. And over time, now you start to believe, oh wait, I can see a path of growth forward. And once that happens, then you get yourself in the game. It's kind of like the cost of admission.
Yes. Okay. Because you maybe didn't do it as technically as you just described it when you were in college.
For sure.
You knew that you wanted to flesh out this desire to be in strength coaching, to do this, and you saw this opportunity with the Jets as an opportunity, and the motivation came from your internal, like who you desired to be, and what you desired to learn, know, and maybe even types of people you just wanted to surround yourself with, because you wanted to be more like them. So you did that because you're like, oh, opportunity. Yes. I'll go all in on this opportunity. Why do people stop short of going all in on an opportunity they know is good for them? Or that maybe they don't know it's good for them, but they know that they want. Or
I think that's a real struggle, the want. Understanding what your want or desire is sounds kind of easy, and like externally, and we'll talk about it now, but to really know, like, I mean, the funny example is figuring out what to eat for dinner. A lot of couples struggle. Hey, what do we eat for dinner tonight? What do you want for dinner? What do you want? I don't know. They go back and forth forever. And it's like, it's simple. Just like, what do you want to eat? But we make it a bigger process. And that's something silly like dinner. Something more of like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, that can be a lot bigger. An example I talk about nearly on every podcast is ownership. Taking ownership over your life, similar to the growth mindset. But also through your language. So what's the language you're using externally and internally? And a word that I would love to be eliminated from the dictionary is should. I should work out more. I should know my passion. I should have motivation. I should whatever. And when you take out the word should and insert the words want or don't want, it allows you the opportunity to take ownership over your life through your actions and then through, the rest of your existence.
Man, I'm just thinking of all the moments I've said should now. That's what you were like, you hit me and I'm like, police. Oh man, I should fill in the blank. What's a way that you get somebody to think about who they want to become? Because you're talking about passions, and you talk about like listing those 30 things out that you have ever been passionate about before. That doesn't, that's a good place. I love that place to begin, honestly, when it comes to dreaming. How do you get someone to think about who they want to become and then to take action in that? That's a real question, because I got asked that the other day, and I was like, well, I have some things that I have done and that I have seen work, but it's difficult sometimes because it's personal. This person's not a project. Their life is at stake, and they don't know what to do with it. What's that's something that's helped you out, or that you've seen help people in that?
I think even in like the way we're talking about it, it's got to be out of the mind and through the body. Like, we are physical beings, and so we move throughout our life, and the ways that we move our physiology can help our psychology. And so if you and I go do a workout right now, after that workout, we're going to feel great. Like, we're going to feel great. We're going to feel on fire. Our brains are working. We've just changed our mindset. And so if you're feeling down, or you're like, I don't know, confused about whatever it is you need to do, you kind of got to like shake up the snow globe a little bit by going for a run or going to move. That's like a very There's a lot of cool science now about that neurologically, how that can get you in the right way. So if someone is, maybe like confused on where it is that they want to go or what it is that they want to do, almost like you've been probably thinking about it way too much. And so you have an idea that's like pretty flushed out, probably 51% you want to do X, right? And you're trying to think, should I do this? Is this the perfect thing for me? Let me Google some more examples of it. Like constantly like researching themselves to death. And I know, because I used to do this forever. And it never worked. I just got into my head more. It brought me farther away from myself, more emphasis on the external. And when I just took one small step towards the direction that I wanted to go and then checked back in, how does that step feel? Then I could either back up, so I'm not forced to do it, or I could continue to move forward. So if someone wants to, I guess, like give an example, work on their health, right? And I don't know, what's the best gym? Do I go climbing? Do I go running? Do I go, skiing? And they're endless. Everyone has a workout program or whatever. Pick one. There's one that is probably towards the top of your list. Go to that. And then check in and see how it feels. You're not stuck to it. You don't have to sign a year-long membership. Just try it. And then the key is really the check back. Because, you might go in and you might meet a bunch of people that you love. And then you check back in, you say, wow, that was awesome. Like, I love this group here. That happened with me and our good friend Matthew when I first went to a gym in Boulder. We had a great interaction. I was like, wow, this place is cool. Like, I'm going to come back here. Like, if we didn't have that, I might not come back to that gym. I might try a different spot. But, like, kind of leading with that trust and intuition, over time, it builds a lot of confidence. Kind of like we talked about before, like putting in those deposits.
I think that's why I've loved competition so much over the past 4 years. And I've relearned to love it for what it does for me. Mm-hmm. It allows me to overcome or figure out who I am in a new light in a place I've never been before. And if I can stretch out and see like, what am I really made of? Like, let's push the boundaries of possibility and what you've ever done before. What's something you've never done before that is really low-hanging fruit? Mm-hmm. Which is kind of also what I like. If you got a list of things you'd like to try out working out, why don't you just do one of them? Guess what? You've never done it before.
It's a win.
And so, yes.
Immediate win.
It's an immediate win. So let's celebrate the effort.
Yeah.
Because effort is being realized, not thought about. It's being actualized. I actually did this thing.
Yeah.
Someone take a picture, it didn't happen. It's like someone just help me out here. Because I can look at this and I can say, oh, wait. I'm not somebody who just says they want to do something or says they should do something. I am now somebody who has done something. Oh, whoa, that's a new way of thinking.
Yeah.
I have now done something.
It's so important to do that, because when you don't do that and you just think about doing it and you're shoulding, this maybe is a harsh way of saying it, but you're essentially lying to yourself. You're saying, I should go work out today, and then you don't, or I want to do it and you don't do it. It hits your personal integrity. And then over time, you start to doubt yourself, and then you're going to struggle with self-worth or confidence because you don't have those investments that build the confidence. And so taking the small step, it's not even a small step, it's the step. It's like, if you want to roll a ball down a hill, the ball doesn't roll fast in the beginning. It's got to get that inertia to get moving, and that's the hardest turnover. Once that ball turns over, it's a little bit easier to keep it moving. And so that first step, it's not small, it's the big step to like sign up, go to the gym, call a buddy that's maybe going out for a workout, come to a social club event, whatever it is. Like those are humongous steps that can lead to more change than you could ever imagine.
Okay, I want you to talk about a social club event, and in that light, though, as I think about just even competition for me, because I'm really learning and thinking about what you're doing in light of what I have experienced as well, because I think that's really important. But just even for me, competition and saying I should X, well, then you should go ahead and pay for it because you've now paid for it, and you will waste that. You will waste that payment if you don't be consistent now and train to that moment.
No, like you need something on the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if you're not willing to put your money where your mouth is, so to speak,
Sure.
then you won't actually do the thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I know that I'm going to do a thing, I need to sign up.
Yeah.
I need to go ahead and pay in full.
Yeah.
And great, I'm training now.
Right.
Great, I'm working now. Great, I'm researching and I'm going to put into practice.
Yeah.
Because I have a window, and I'm going to not let that go to waste.
Yeah.
I think that is also helpful in
That's
the consistency
definitely-
piece.
That's 100% helpful and can be really scary for some people, because if they don't have a lot of confidence following through with the thing, then they like say post it on social media, I'm going to run a marathon, and then they don't do it. It's like exponentially worse.
Oh gosh.
And so it's like it can be helpful though, because it's kind of like a bigger risk, but again, big risk, big reward. And so if you have something that you're fairly sure that you want to do and can follow through on, then yeah, talk about it, put it out there. Like that is action.
Yeah, and maybe like the public action is maybe not like the best place to start, but like the personal action, like me telling you.
Yeah, tell someone.
And then yeah. I'm just saying like the
Yeah.
social media, because it's like if you've never kept a promise to yourself and like that,
For
let's
sure.
not.
Blast that.
I love that idea though. Or I'm glad you brought that up. Is like, are you willing to keep the promises to yourself?
Yeah,
Because if you can start there, you can start keeping promises to others better.
for sure. I mean, it's again a seemingly small thing, but they add up, and it's so easy to lie to yourself. It's so easy to justify things, and those over time, they really do hurt you, or like your mental capacity and the ways that you view yourself. And so if I struggle with this, like I struggle with how I view myself. And whenever I'm in that stage, I just line up a bunch of wins that I know I can do. So a bunch of like easy things, like cook breakfast, jump in the cold tub, go out for a run, like, things that I can accomplish that I literally just say I'm going to do it, and then I do it. That's like little deposit. Say I'm going to finish the shower on cold. Like it's uncomfortable, but I said I was going to do it. I do that. And if I don't, then I get out of the shower, and a little part of me is like, you didn't put that in there.
Then you're shoulding.
Right.
I love that you used it as a verb a second ago. You just
yeah. It is. You're shitting on yourself. The worst is shitting on other people. Oh, you should go do this. Oh, you should go run more. Oh, you should do whatever. Like, should is an external expectation, and the world has so many of them. Talk about social media. It's like, so many people telling you what you should do. Like, I strive to never tell anyone what they should do. I try to give people options and say, hey, you're struggling with this. These are some different options. Which one looks good to you? It's kind of like, do you want to come into this room? Cool. You come into the room. Would you like the room? Yeah, cool. Let's keep going to the next one. Oh, you don't like this one? Let's try this other one over here. But having that reflection back is giving people the the internal awareness to then start to make their own decisions.
And that's one of the biggest pieces in someone moving forward that I have found as well. Because when you say that, I think, ooh, yeah, people need self-discovery. They need to discover it for themselves, not be told.
You can't. You don't learn.
Yes, they don't learn, and then they don't want. And then they don't think that they can get there. They need you. And I need people to need me less in that way, because I want them to be able to do it on their own, to get them to a point of where they don't need me. When?
Yeah, but that's because you have confidence in who you are.
Sure.
Think about parents, maybe. Like, need, Dad, can you tie my shoe? Okay? No, yeah, of course I can tie your shoe. It takes 2 seconds. But if I don't allow you the opportunity to struggle with it, get frustrated with it, work through it, now all of a sudden you're not going to learn that. And then whenever you need something, you're going to come to me. And if I don't have a strong self-worth of who I am, then I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I feel good. I need to tie my kid's shoe. Like, I'm going to tie that, pat myself on the back. Thanks, Dad. Like, there's nuance to all of this for sure.
Yes.
But like allowing people to play the game, to lose, to win, gives them the opportunity to discover themselves.
Oh, and that's the personal journey, though. Like, I love that you're talking about this, and just fires me up, honestly, because, like, let's develop.
Yeah.
Like, let's develop both personally. Let's help others develop. I think that's the point of parenting. I think that may be one of the biggest points of parenting. Maybe it's not the whole thing, but it's literally to help a child become an adult, a self-sustaining, I know who I am, I love who I am, I want to help others, adult. That becomes the process of becoming is helping, maybe even getting to a point of where you can help others become, which is having a kid. It's like that's kind of the idea, is like, yes, I'm great for you to need me and I'll help you. But when you can get to a point of where you can learn this on your own, guess what? I'm going to teach you. And it's like, and then we'll do it together. And then when you struggle, great. Keep struggling. Yeah. And then I'll help you in the middle of the struggle. Right. And I'll meet you there. Yeah. And then we'll keep going.
It's I talk a lot about flow states, and it's the challenge and skills balance I think about every day in my life. Like, what's the appropriate challenge for this skill that I have? And we'll use this tying the shoe example. Like, if that is for a 2-year-old, that challenge is too high for their skill, so they become overwhelmed and they're gonna lose confidence. If it's for a 10-year-old or 15-year-old, like, that's gonna be way too easy for them that they're gonna become bored. And so figuring out what's the appropriate challenge for that individual skill level that brings them fully focused on that thing, that is the art of like being in the moment. It's the art of flow state, which is the state of peak human performance. Like, when you're talking to a large group of people and you're totally dialed in and just focused on that, and time flies by, you don't even know where you're at, you're in a state of flow. You're not conscious of that state, or you're playing sports, or you're running, or wherever that challenge meets the skill, you can get real creative with it. You are experiencing life at the highest level possible.
I love that word, appropriateness. I love it. I've used it so much lately because appropriateness, to me, speaks to where somebody is, and it allows them to move forward on what they need where they are. Yeah. For example, the 2-year-old may not need to tie his shoe, but he needs to learn how to put his own shoes on. Right. And maybe they need Velcro. That's why they do Velcro. So it's like, the Velcro is not just for the parent. The Velcro is to help the 2-year-old gain some confidence in just putting his shoe on. Totally. And it's like, you may miss the right foot on a regular basis, but at least you got your shoes on. Sure. Yeah. Let's celebrate the effort. My current 2-year-old he is batting 900. Oh, nice. At getting the shoes on and on the opposite foot. So, and he may have the other night, literally, he put a red one, different one he put his left on his right, red, and then his blue right on his left. But my bro got his shoes on. That's it. And I'm amped. Yeah. So good job, bro. Nice. Of course, yeah. So what are you doing with Social Club? Is it separate? Is it a part of the offense? How are you using that, and what is that for? Yeah, so it is part of the offense. The offense is the overarching brand, and then Social Club is an aspect of the offense where they're free gatherings where I'm just creating the space for people to come together and live a life of action. So I work with a lot of guys and women who, they want to go out for a hike, they want to go out for a trail run, but they don't want to maybe do it alone. Or they like being with other people, but it's tough for them to find people that have similar values as they do. And so the offense, the values are stated like right there, like a life of action. Like anyone that comes to it, that's what they're pursuing. And so when you come to a Social Club, those people are all on that very similar path. So whether we're doing a hike or a trail run, or yesterday we did a fun rock scramble, like we had to cross this river, and normally you can kind of rock hop across it, but the water's just been rushing from the spring runoff, and it was pretty fast and like waist high, and it was warm. It was like a hot tub river. It was super hot tub, super Rocky Mountain hot tub. So, we had to work together. But everyone was down. Like, shoes got soaked. I was up to my belly in water. Like, it was good adventure mode. It was good, healthy adventure, right? So, but everyone was super down, right? No one was like, I don't want to do this. They were ready to take action, ready to push themselves, ready to grow and support each other. And so the Social Club is
creating opportunities for that to happen.
That's like the most healthy peer pressure.
Yeah.
Adventure mode.
Yeah. I mean, we all want to adventure, and we just have different levels of adventure. So like skydiving, like I'll probably never do a social club skydiving thing because that's for like only a certain small group of people. Whereas a trail run or a hike, there's options to go at different speeds, and then you can meet up at certain times. So again, that boundaries, the structure of the game allows for, different levels, different challenges for different skills. The rock scramble, same thing. Different challenges to different skills. We're on this ridge. If you want more of a challenge, go on the left side. Medium challenge, stay on the ridge. Less of a challenge, go on the right. And you can flip-flop back and forth as you gain confidence or more skill. So, it's fun for me kind of always trying to think of what are the games. That's why I love acrobatics, hand balancing. There's our like...
Yeah, you were having me teach you how to stand on your hands the other day. So
I appreciate that. Yeah.
No, this dude, okay, everyone needs to know, Mike is almost better on standing on his hands than he is his feet. So, so cool. This is so cool. Where did that come from, acrobatics?
Came from yoga. So when I kind of really transitioned from that strength and conditioning world, I loved what I would call like the walk from the field house into the weight room. When I'm walking in with the athletes, they're talking about their relationships or different struggles that they're having in their life. I loved those moments between the sets and the reps. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna double down on this. I didn't know at the time that was like mindset coaching was a thing. So I dove into all different modalities that were holistic wellness related, yoga being one of them. And so when I took a few yoga classes, I saw some people like a handstanding in the middle of their yoga flows, coming down to their chaturangas. I'm like, that's so cool. Like I learned the arm balances, and it was, again, that skill and challenge flow state, like learning to stay on my hands. If I push with my fingers, I come back. If I can move my gaze, it affects it. It was really a big puzzle. And so hand balancing is that too. Like you can never be the best at handstands. You can never have the perfect handstand because you're never balancing. You're always rebalancing. You're never in perfect alignment. You're constantly falling one way or the other. And the faster your brain can recognize when that's happening, make the appropriate adjustment, you can come back to center. I think it's such a cool kind of view of life too. Like you're never perfect balance. You're constantly rebalancing, and the stronger you can get at rebalancing, the more you can kind of lean out and then come back into the center.
My mind is blown.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so good. That's not just true for your hands, that's true for your feet in some ways.
It's really true for everything. Like nothing is perfectly aligned. It's always kind of moving one way or the other.
Aaron was like, that's fire. And I'm like, that is so good because we're just constantly we're constantly rebalancing.
And the more skills you have at rebalancing, the less scary it becomes. Like handstanding is really scary for people when they first start off because they don't have the strength in their fingers to pull themselves back. Getting in a relationship is really scary for people if they've never done it before because they don't have the skills of working through conflict or, the different things that come in relationship that are normal and healthy. And so the more you have the capacity with a stronger mindset, then you can handle bigger challenges like a handstand, like starting a business, like whatever it is that you want to achieve.
Just knowing that everyone is falling, I think is so freeing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you we're just all falling.
Yeah.
And you know what that does? It puts everyone on the same playing field. You know what that also says? No one's actually fully in control.
Yeah.
There's no human that's fully in control. Gravity got you.
For sure.
There's boundaries here.
Yeah.
And there's physical boundaries around us. And that's important. And so it's like, hey, one of the things that I love to say and that I'm trying to just put on display for people with the Full Vantage podcast is the foundation of my future are my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people that I choose to be in my life, the people I choose to journey with through life, the people I choose to listen to and have speak into my life, and the people that I reciprocate that with.
Mm-hmm.
That is what sets my future up.
Yeah.
And so we can't take full advantage until we get the vantage points of others that surround our problems and our dreams. And so we see the problem get accomplished, and we see the dream become reality based off of who we have in our community speaking into from where they see and what they've experienced. So what fires me up is that you're building community with people that you're giving them an opportunity to opt in.
Yeah.
And you're making it available for everyone at different levels, skill levels. And you're making the appropriateness very, very wide for people to say, hey, I want to opt in because I want to grow. I want to get better. I want to surround myself with people that are living a life of action because I'm not that yet. You know what? Just even saying that and then doing that, getting someone in your life that lives a life in action and learning from them and hearing from them and then supporting them, guess what that'll do? It's like osmosis.
For sure.
You become that. That's another cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. You're the average of the 7 to 12 people that you go through life with, that you spend the most time with. The number varies, but the concept is what's the principle is what's valuable for us. So as you're on your journey, I would love to know if it's okay for you to take us from the Jets to where you are today with your own coaching business. Like, what are some really big moments for you, if you don't mind? Because that is really intriguing to me because that's 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian, maybe like almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
But so I went out to California. That was a year. Come back to New York, manage a strength and conditioning facility in like 20 minutes north of the Bronx. Really dive into high school and college athletes at that time and a lot of general pop. And then at that moment, the business was doing really well. I was struggling managing like some of my peers because I was such an all-in mentality and thought that other people were in that same mentality. And, never was in a managerial position before. But we were about to open up another gym. Things were good. I was thinking externally, I'm like, I'm going to buy this like BMW. I'm going to buy a house. Like, I'm going to make all this money. Like, I'm helping all these people. I'm working out all the time. Like, things are good. But deep down, I knew that I wanted to do more of this like holistic work. And so around that point, I learned about like taking ownership over my life. And I learned about shoulding. And I learned about radical honesty, which is a book written by this guy, Brad Blanton, who basically talks about we all wear these masks to society that we want other people to see us on. And some of us have lots of different masks. And that mask is a stress because it's, again, not in aligned with who we are. And so we feel this subtle stress all times of trying to perform. It's kind of funny. It's like performance mindset, kind of like struggle with that name for a second. But at the same time, we'll talk about that in a second. But sorry, I got off track there. Radical honesty, when you remove that mask, it allows you the opportunity to be who you are. And it's really scary to do that because you need to reveal yourself in that way, become honest. And so I took that as like a value of mine is being radically honest with who I am, what I want in my life, who I want to be with, what my values are. And then that took me to stop working at that one gym. We were about to open up another space. We were looking at different ones. I let people down, which was difficult. But if I didn't do that, I would let myself down. I'd hold resentment. That would be worse in the long run. And I went and traveled the world studying health and wellness on what I called an alternative graduate studies program. So I didn't get a degree for this, but I saved up I think it was like $18,000, bought a backpack and just bought a one-way ticket to Costa Rica and had this whole plan of kind of where I was going to travel around the world studying from different cultures, all things health and wellness. Went to Peru, went to Costa Rica, Panama, kind of different places, Germany. And what I really found was that at the end of the day, all the cultures that I visited, everyone wanted to give and receive love. And they were doing that in different ways. And so I took it upon myself to really learn, how do I want to be loved? How can I love other people? And that can be an endless growth as I grow up as a human being. At the time I didn't have any kids. I live with an 8-year-old now, loving him differently. As I grow older, maybe he has kids, I'll love those kids differently, or friends, or whatever it is. And then came back, taught a bunch of yoga, lots of different like modalities within that, and have been coaching in this mindset performance space really ever since. Still doing some personal training stuff too, just because I'm a real physical person. I love that. But I can drag all of these different experiences that I have, different lessons, different frameworks, so that when I talk with someone now and there's a big question of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, right? Huge question. I can't tell them what to do, but I can give them an exercise that helps illuminate within them, oh yeah, these are my values. This is my playbook. What am I doing currently? What's in alignment? What's out of alignment? Do I have the courage and confidence to eliminate the things that I don't care about and then install some things that I do? And then I kind of hold their hand through that process, through accountability, because that's what they need in the beginning. And then over time, I start to work myself out of a job, and I'm like, you're good. Coach yourself. You have the framework. You've built the rocket ship. Like I help build it with you, but now it's off into space, right? You have all that momentum. If it breaks down and you want to change directions, you got all the tools. Just like make a little adjustment here or there, and now you're going off to a new career or a new state or a new country or whatever it is you want to do.
I think it's important for people to know that not all coaches are good. That's what I was hearing right there. And here's why I was hearing it. Because you are trying to work yourself out of a job. That's a good coach. That's a coach that's trying to get them to coach themselves, which is the best coach. Because that person wants to be independent, being able to not need but want you. You know what I mean? Like not need you to sustain or get to where they want to go, but want you to help them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you can begin to work yourself out of a job, guess what? You'll always have that job. Mm-hmm. You'll always have a job if you can always work yourself out of a job. Mm-hmm. But the reverse is also true. If you try to keep a job, guess what? You'll lose it.
Right.
Yeah. If you try, and it's like, I just think over and over again, some of the things that have been bothering me lately have been people that I love that listen to the wrong people, that don't actually love them, that don't actually care about them, that don't want anything for them. They want everything from them. Yeah. And I'm like, gosh, we got to be more careful on who we choose to speak into our life. Mm-hmm. And let's just be real that we're all humans, and everyone has something that they're struggling with. So if someone tells you that they're perfect and they have all the answers, guess what? They probably don't have any answers for you.
Sure.
And so it's like, man, the fact that you took the risk to go learn across the board, phenomenal. But what you did also was you built an understanding of kind of how the world works, imagine, as well. And then you said, I want to be somebody, and I'm just picking up what I'm hearing from you. I just want to be somebody who genuinely helps people where they are to get them where they want to go.
Yeah.
And is there somebody that you learned that from, or is that kind of just everything that came together? I'm just curious on like that genesis, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been that way for a long time. Like, there's a story that I remember when I was really young. I was always athletic, and so like when we're picking teams in elementary school, I'd always be a captain, and I always liked picking the kid that would get picked last on my team first. And I don't know exactly why I did that, but I think I could see the pain or the struggle, and just as a human being, I don't want other people around me to be feeling that. And so that's exactly what I do as a coach. Like, I'll go through something and learn through my own struggle, and then I don't have any answers. I just have like ideas. And so I can say, hey, this is something that, a lot of cases is like now proven through these various studies. Here they are if you want to read them. And try to take this action, and it will help you get out of the maybe place that you feel stuck in right now. But my biggest wish for you, for everyone here, is just to be the absolute most honest version of you. And the more I can allow that to happen, then like the better I'll feel, the better you'll feel. And if we're on the same page and want to do the same things, amazing. And if we don't, amazing. But if we're trying to be something that we're not by shoulding or holding more expectations, it tires me out. And I've done that in the past, and it's exhausting. it frustrates you because you don't really know. You're always trying to read me, like, is this really what it means? And then that starts to question yourself and your doubts, and then you're trying to put on this other mask. It's like, that's just my wish, and the work that I really try to do is help the honesty come out of the individual that I'm working with.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Here's why it's unbelievable. Because I can see the kid that would be picked last face when you pick him first. And I think all of us in some ways or in some scenarios are that kid that would be picked last.
100%.
And so you bypassed the game. You played a different game. You didn't play the game in that moment to stack all the cards in your favor for you to win. You stacked all the cards for us to win.
Yeah.
And you're about us, not about you. That's so unselfish. Now, I promise you this, and you didn't say this, you still tried to win the game to prove everyone wrong.
For sure.
Which is also the point. Like, who I stutter right there because I'm thinking so much about, like, you're playing just a different game as a child and as a young human. And we play those same games as adults. And you want to give people the benefit of the doubt over and over and over again. And you don't care to fail in the game competition that you're about to play, because you're going to win in relationship to the human. And
they're going to win.
And that matters way more. You can win before you even start playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they can win before we start playing the game, guess what? Everyone else here thinks that winning is getting more runs than the other person or getting more points than the other team. Well, guess what? I actually have a team, and you don't. You know, it's like,
yeah. What's the bigger game that you're playing? And like, I really bring it back to that skills challenge balance. Like, I have a client, her name's Cheryl. I've worked with her for over 10 years. She's 74 now. She's incredible. Like, she did the Via Ferrata and Telluride, which is like basically rock climbing with these iron bars, like with 1,000 feet underneath her. She's the biggest kid I know. Like, she's always trying to learn, always curious about different things, and keeping that like skill and challenge balance like in her mind's eye allows her to keep that youth. And that's the part that I really do feel like people lose. And so, like, if I'm picking this person on my team who might get picked last, like, their challenge skills balance is still exactly where it would be with me. And now my challenge maybe goes up a little bit because I don't maybe have like the best players for that specific game on my team, but I have the best team and community. Like, you know, you use the word a lot in encouragement in the beginning of this podcast. And I just coached my boys' first and second grade flag football team.
Yeah, you did.
And so first ever time coaching like these young kids, it was awesome. And the first thing I told all of them is our two themes for the season are encouragement and effort. Big focus on encouragement because no one's trying to miss a catch. No one's trying to miss a flag. We're all trying our best, right? Of course, yes, coach, we're trying our best. Great. So if you get on someone, say, how could you miss that? Why didn't you miss that flag? He was right in front of you. Is that going to give them more confidence, or is that going to hurt them in the future when they're trying to do that? That's going to hurt them. Is that going to help our team win or our team lose? It's going to help our team lose. What would be the best thing that you can do? Encourage them so they feel like they can do it again in the future. Great. And so our team went undefeated. They encouraged the crap out of each other. Like, we had some amazing athletes on our team too, but it was that teamwork, that camaraderie where, yeah, someone missed a wide open touchdown catch. Everyone on the team came over and said, that's okay, man. Next time. That kid brushes it off, gets back out there, and he's ready to go on that next series. And that's something that I strive to do all the time, just encourage other people with the things that I care about and the things that I think are fun and the things that, you know, they care about.
Dude. Okay, so as you encourage, And I love that you like. How old were they?
7 and 8-year-olds.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah.
I have a 7-year-old daughter right now, so just a blast. It's like that's first grade.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
in between first and second grade type.
Mhm.
And so that's so cool. And I can imagine you coaching the 7 and 8-year-olds, and they crushed.
Oh yeah.
They did a great job,
Yeah.
which is so fun. As you think about people where they are, what is the best way for someone to get encouragement?
From someone else.
I think yeah, or like, how do people find encouragement? Like maybe you can even be from themselves in some ways. Like I think people are looking for that
Mm-hmm.
that affirmation, the verbal affirmation even.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a words of affirmation guy.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's really valuable. How do people either find it or, like, if someone's struggling and lacking that,
Yeah.
where do they go to find that?
You can ask for it. I think we gotta ask sometimes for the things that we want. So often it's you're not giving me this versus I'm not telling you the thing that I need and giving you the opportunity to love me or show up for me. And so if you're not words of affirmation guy, you can talk to your wife or your friends and say, hey, this is a way that you can really love me. I really enjoy when you tell me these positive words. Is that something you feel like you could do for me? Of course, Trevor. Of course we'll tell you that. Sit down right now. I'll tell you all these things. Or it's difficult for me, but I will definitely want to do that with you. Let me try, and then give me some feedback because I want to grow because I love and care about you. But it takes the courage to ask for that. And so it kind of links back with the thing we talked about in the beginning too, where you can encourage yourself through the actions that you take. Again, the more actions you take towards the things that you value, and that's another conversation of getting it down. What are those things? That builds a confidence. Because you know that you're within your rules.
Yes, and people need to celebrate more.
Yeah.
People don't celebrate near enough, especially if like let's celebrate the smallest change that you have made. Like I don't know if you're an artist, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's like a background of yours, but I do know you kind of like it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, you drew this Indian
Yeah.
chief the other day, and you used it on the offense. And I think I messaged you about it. At least in my brain, I said, good job. I should have DM'd you. I don't know if I DM'd you or texted you. Right. I will next time.
Perfect.
I will next time.
You see that change though? Just pause.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I don't remember if I did or not. That's why I'm saying I know that. But I thought it was so cool, and you did a great job. But that's not necessarily your number one. Like people don't necessarily know that about you. I didn't know that about you.
Sure.
So I forget what I was even trying to say to that. I just loved it.
Yeah.
And I think the point is that you tried that, you shared it, you were honest about yourself, and it's sick. It's so cool. But you wouldn't think that somebody that is that's not like a normal thing for an athlete to be also an artist. Well, guess what? Everyone can have nuances about themselves that's different, and like that's okay to share as well.
It's important to share.
It's very important to share. Oh, I remember what I was saying. And as you share those things, and as you do as you be an artist, well, guess what? Other people are going to be inspired to be more of an artist, even if on whatever skill level that they are, and you will attract who you are. And if you are an encouragement, and if you do want encouragement, you should probably be that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you do want confidence, then be that. You know what I mean? Like it's surround yourself with someone that is confident, I guess is what I'm saying. But like if you do want someone to encourage you, why don't you encourage someone?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like out of the place of love. Like if I love someone else, guess what I'll find? I'll find love. If I be a friend, I will probably find some.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone, but I'll find someone.
For sure.
And so, man, I love that. So I want to talk about a few things that you're going to do, but I also want to talk about the race that we ran.
Cool.
Because you didn't get to you ran it, but
the
you
race
didn't.
That you ran.
Did you say the race that I ran?
Yes.
Well, so like that was such an interesting thing for me to watch you and to hear from you afterward. And because you're this, in my mind, you're like a peak performer. You've done all these really cool things. And you were in the middle of this thing and you were injured.
Mm-hmm.
You came into the race injured. You were trying your best to not be. But then, like, can you share kind of what happened and you completed it, but it was maybe one of your, not favorite accomplishments, but maybe one of your most powerful ones for your mind or something to share? Because that's an honest thing.
Yeah.
And I know you're open to that kind of honesty because you shared this huge thing that was like really powerful and clear.
Yeah.
If someone wants to look at it, do you care to like talk about that?
Sure.
Because I think that for me it was powerful for me.
Yeah, so we ran a 50K out in Fruta, and before that, I'm training for some big, longer races this summer. The Leadville 100 race series, like 100-mile mountain bike ride and trail run, and a bunch of other races. But
It's called the Lead Challenge.
The Lead Challenge, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can quickly define it. Like,
if you don't mind,
Leadville, Colorado, mining town in Colorado. The mine went down in the early 80s. Right.
Yeah.
And so they came up with this race. This guy, Ken Klubler, came up with this 100-mile mountain run race to raise money for the town, to bring more awareness into this town through tourism. That got bought by Lifetime Fitness like 15 years ago or something. And they've included like a mountain bike race and a 50-mile trail run, mountain bike, a marathon, 10K, all these races. And if you do all of them, it's called the Lead Challenge. And so that's what I'm doing this year. So
you're doing all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
This year. I think that's huge.
Yeah, it's a big goal for sure. It's a big challenge for my skill. It's probably ahead of my skill, but one that pushes me towards that, where I have to focus on it. And so, yeah, the trail marathon is like 6,000 feet of vert. It's the highest, hardest marathon in the country. That's the end of June. The next weekend is a 50-mile run, and then on Saturday and then on Sunday is a 50-mile mountain bike ride, and then like 4 weeks later is the 100-mile mountain bike ride. That like, there's famous documentaries. Lance Armstrong did it. Like a bunch of people. It's like a huge biking race. The next day you got to do a 10K, which will be pretty hilarious. And then 5 days after that, you do the 100-mile trail run. And so for our race, I had been training a lot up in the mountains, and I'm like, I'm doing all these things, but I don't really consider myself a runner. That's not my background. My background's in like Olympic weightlifting. And so I've only been running for about a year and a half, 2 years. And I jumped back in the early start of the season, not understanding like skills of running downhill for a long time for distance, and basically got some really bad knee pain on the outside and couldn't run for like the 2 weeks before our race. And then like a few days before could run for maybe like 4 miles and felt okay, but it was like a little twingy. And during our race, I felt pretty good at the beginning. I was excited. I was motivated, like wanted to give it my best shot. I liked the race like profile, like the vertical and everything like that. And then 3 miles in, I get this brutal pain on the side of my knee. I didn't know at the time, but it was nerve compression. And so it almost felt like a pin, like a dead leg, kind of like right at the knee, where I couldn't put any weight on it. And so for the rest of the 29 miles, it was kind of like a hike and then a shuffle when I could shuffle. And it's so much time to just like be mentally beating yourself up if you allow that to happen, which I certainly did for some moments, right? Kind of like had to rebalance a lot during that race.
Yeah, because you can run that far and you're skilled at that and you're doing way more than that. And so it's like, hey, I can do all of this, and yet I'm forced to do not any of it at all.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I definitely thought about stopping the race, but I didn't think I was injuring myself more. I just felt like I was.
Which is important.
Yeah. If I felt like I was going to be, out for a long time or like torn ACL or MCL or something, I wouldn't have continued the race. But I just wanted to finish something that I started. And so gave myself the opportunity to constantly reframe that day, and was really proud of the finish that I was able to come through. Even though I couldn't really run, like I could kind of make it work. I was trying all of these different ways to like plant my foot on the ground where it didn't bother the knee and whatever. But yeah, I was happy to finish that race. It was definitely the slowest out of the 10 plus ultras I've ever ran, but it was a good accomplishment to know that I could, finish through, and is a real mental win more than anything.
Yeah, the mental strength is incredible to do that because you're in pain the whole time. I don't think if you've never been in that type of pain before, it's difficult. Like if you avoid pain, which most humans do, is avoid pain. It's really difficult. But like, how are you better on this side of it? Even though it was like a small thing for you, like it's not even a part of the challenge. Like that was just a warm up for you. Like I don't even think people realize that. Like that's just it was
a fun run that I wanted. I felt the most fit that I'd ever been at that point before I kind of got this knee thing. So I was like, I'm going to set a PR. I had a lot of expectations going into it too, which made it even a little bit more difficult. And so I had to like just quickly release those expectations, which is fine. And then, continue to push through like all of the, what's the way I was thinking about it? It was like, it's an ultra marathon, but it was like an ultra conversation with yourself because you get so much time to just like get past by everyone that normally you would be able to like run circles around.
You would crush.
But again, it goes back to the competition. Like one thing we didn't talk about with is like, are you competing against these other people or are you competing with yourself?
Yes.
And so with this, it was a competition with myself. How could I mentally and emotionally reframe this annoyance, really, that I couldn't control at that moment? I could only control my mindset about it. And so it got to basically do a lot of emotional mental gains from that.
Which is huge when you look at 100-mile race.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I've done a 100-mile race before, and you'll go through peaks and valleys that will last a long time. It's just like time kind of gets skewed in those races because they can be, I don't know, anywhere from 16 to 36 hours. And so mine was 28 hours, 27 hours. And, you have valleys where you're down there, you're down on yourself for like 4 hours. And you're like, am I ever going to get out of this hole? And you do get out of the hole. Like, literally every hole you've ever been in your life, you've come out the other side of it. And so one way I like to talk about emotions is like on a 1 to 10 scale, and 1 being like the worst emotion you could ever imagine in your life, 10 being the highest high you could ever imagine. We all want those 8, 9s, and 10s, but we're scared out of our minds for the 1, 2s, and 3s. So we spend so much time avoiding the 1, 2s, and 3s. The way balance works is we don't get those 8, 9s, and 10s, and so we live a 4, 5, and 6 existence where nothing's great, nothing's terrible, everything's kind of just like okay. And I strive in this race, gained some of those. I wouldn't call it a 1, but it was a lower number, so that it allows me now in the future to experience those 8, 9s, and 10s. And so for anyone that may identify in like that beginning 4, 5, and 6, if you want the 8, 9s, and 10s, don't strive necessarily for those, because you have to have the resiliency and the emotional strength and capacity to handle the lower ones. And again, that rebalance, like you'll swing back to the other side at some point.
What's the principle? If you were to say, okay, I learned all of these things, yes. What's the principle you carry from something like that? Because it's not even close to what you wanted. What's that principle that you'd be like, hey, here's the file title, or here's how I couch that so that I can call on that when I need that. What does that look like for you?
I think it is patience. Yeah, just being patient with it. Like, you can do more than you think you can do.
And I've loved redefining patience lately to what you can do in between where you are and where you want to be. Patience.
Yeah.
You're not there yet, but I still can do something here.
Totally. I mean, I think your whole life is patience because, personally, I never want to be there. I never want to achieve the things because then what?
Yeah.
Like, I work with a lot of folks who are super wealthy and folks that have no job and are like, in debt. And the ones that have seemingly everything externally and maybe have achieved the thing that they want to achieve, it's an external mark. And so after that, they're lost. They're confused. They don't know where it is that you want to go. And so living on purpose or on those purpose and passions, those are infinite games. They're forever.
Ooh. I love the concept of finite games and infinite games.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Simon Sinek really kind of helped me couch and understand
Yeah.
the rules and regulations of those types of things. But I think that's important. To know what type of game you're playing, and are you playing something that is has a beginning and end, or are you playing something that the point of the game is to stay in the game?
Right.
What I think life, where you're talking about, is like, let's stay in it. Let's stay in it, and like that's how we win it. Is like to enjoy and to keep going and growing and to be in the game and like fulfilled and using, instead going from black and white TV to like let's use some color. Let's color this bad boy in. Like let's not just think through about what could be. Let's reimagine what is,
Right.
and get excited about that. And so, as you think about the world that you live in,
Mm-hmm.
performance coaching, health mindset, that type of thing, what is something that is maybe not talked about very much that is really important for us to begin, us as humans, us as people living in Denver or Boulder, out west, Americans, doesn't matter. Like, what is something that maybe that you see as being overlooked that you're starting to talk about a lot?
I would say, I'm trying to think of like the file name for it, but the best that's coming to my mind is just getting it off the chest. I do a free men's group. It's been at my house recently for guys to come, and this one's specifically for men, to get things that they're maybe holding on to out externally into the world to other men that can then hold that same space for them. That's something that it doesn't get talked about enough. There's so much maybe shame or fear, honestly, about sharing things that you're nervous to share. And when you can release that and kind of like, again, remove that mask, get honest about the thing that you want to share, it gives you the space to then go and live the life that you want to live. And that's like, that is really the first after the fixed and growth mindset and the ownership, it's elimination, like eliminating the things that are not valuable to you. And so often we're holding things in, like, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way that, I've treated someone or whatever. And if you hold that in, it's just hurting you and then hurting the message you can bring to the world, hurting your ability to encourage other people, your ability to give, receive love. And so getting that off of the chest out towards someone else, like out into the real world physically, like through language, is really, really powerful.
Man, I think I agree. If we could do that more, if we have people that we can trust, that we can begin to do that with, man, I think that does change the game for us, because if we don't move forward in the point from the point of honesty, we're not moving forward.
Yeah.
It's just a facade.
Just getting better at the facade.
It's just fake. It's like you cannot the person that you fake to be cannot be blessed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the person that you actually are gets blessed.
Yeah.
And that's where like we find this life that we just that we feel so full in. As people are connecting with you and people are like, hey, I need to know more about what Mike is doing. Mm-hmm. How do people lean into the offense or social club? Like, what is like? Where do people find you, or like what's coming with that? Maybe.
Yeah. So theoffense.co, that's the website. The.offense is the Instagram handle. And I post all the social clubs on both of those. So if it's something you're interested in, you can find that under the events tab, as well as the coaching that I do is there. So it describes it. You can read, a bunch of other people's experiences on what coaching is. That's kind of the challenge. It's not like you go out to a restaurant, you pay for a meal, like you know what the chef is going to give you. Coaching, you're not buying a physical product. Perhaps like you're getting an app and you're getting a bunch of exercises within that app and all of those things that you can see, but you're really getting the ability to mentally reframe and then take that action that that you might need to take, but you don't have the confidence yet to do it. And so none of the change happens until you do that. And that, in my mind, like there's a cost to it, but it is like priceless, because if that doesn't happen, nothing happens.
Right. But because like if nothing changes, guess what? Nothing changes.
Right.
Like so if we don't Also, I think that keeps me accountable to actually do the thing.
Well, accountability is huge. Like, I honestly used to struggle with that as a coach because I didn't think that, like, I so wanted people to coach themselves that I didn't want to, like, hold their hand through stuff. But, I don't know, like 7-8 years ago, I'm like, that's what they need. They need you to hold their hand through the thing. Like, it doesn't mean that it's going to be forever, but they need to kind of get shown how to tie the shoe first. Then they can go and do it, and you can encourage them more versus, thinking that they're going to, like, self-start. So some people might, but again, skills challenge balance. Where are they at? Can you give them the appropriate challenge for their skill?
Yeah, we don't win the game we don't win the game casually. We don't win maybe not casual. We don't win by chance. It's like it's not just going to happen. We win because of determination and effort and energy and like we have the habits and skill sets that produce like a win.
Yeah, and it doesn't like. I often fear sometimes when I'm talking about coaching that it's like it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
And
yeah.
It really is. There's small actions like, calling up a friend you might have resentment to. Like, that's a 10-minute conversation, 10 minutes of your life. But if you avoid that, it's hurting you so much. It's hurting the possibility of connecting with them. It's probably hurting your ability to have another conversation with a newer friend because you read a story that you're not a great friend. And so 10 minutes, that's all it takes. And if you have the skills to have that conversation, you have the courage to have it because maybe you've just talked to your coach about it. Now you're sitting there, and like this is the moment that I think about all the time with my clients. Because we'll get off the phone, and their job for the week is to have maybe that 10-minute conversation and let me know how it goes. And so I just think about them sitting on the couch, their phone's in front of them. They're like, okay, I got to call John. I got to tell him that it really bothered me when he, hooked up with my girlfriend in high school or like whatever. And he does it, calls, says, hey, John, man, I know this could kind of be weird and like maybe off, like we haven't talked in a long time, but man, I just want to tell you, like, when you did that, like it really bothered me. Like, and I want to have a better relationship with you, but whatever, you have that conversation oftentimes goes really well because you're leading with vulnerability. Someone on the other end, most often, like I actually haven't seen that go the opposite direction when you're really, truly honest. It's fantastic. They call me, oh, I can't believe it. We're going to get back together. He's flying out here. We're going to have a weekend like we had back in the day, whatever it is. So those are the small actions that are actually huge. And again, the overwhelming thing is it doesn't need to be that. Like demystifying some of these things is what I really strive to do as a coach for people.
Yeah, demystifying is huge. And being okay with like the messiness that it is, because that's where reconciliation and then restoration happens, like in relationships, and we can move forward. Then we can move forward because a lot of that times is that may be some of the biggest barriers for people moving forward. Is that getting it off the chest, getting it off of our hearts, off of our minds, off of our lives, so that we can move forward and we can, breathe again and experience the freshness. Bro, I'm excited just for the summer and all the things happening with the offense, social club, lead challenge. I'm gonna try and find something that Leadville will let me sign up for late, so I can
let's do it.
Be out at Leadville with you. But man, it's good to have you today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome, and I definitely look forward to, workouts together, trail runs. We're gonna make it happen. I think the 10K. I think there's spots in the 10K.
Yeah. I actually saw that the other day. I was like, it's not very much, but at least it's something. And I'll get out there and do it.
Yeah. I mean, Leadville's a really cool town. Like, bringing the family. It's like an old school Colorado mountain town. It's 2 hours from here.
Yeah. Maybe I can get a Melly, too.
What's that?
A Melly.
There you go.
That's like the most Colorado thing.
Yeah.
It's like that. So, man, you have a great day. Appreciate you joining us on Full Vantage Podcast. Mike, Aidala, the offense, connect with them. I hope you guys have a great day. Hope this was encouraging. And, we'll catch you later.